The New York Jets have made a sneaky signing that fans are absolutely loving already, as this is a position that there is a bunch of competition at right now, and now Jets fans get to see a guy who is going to become a fan favorite the second he steps out onto the field for, well, a pretty hilarious reason, Matt. And we're going to break all this down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here. And guys, we appreciate everyone who is subscribed to the channel. And if you're part of that 62% that's not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to Jets Digest. We got daily videos like this. You do not want to miss out on all the great Jets content. But let's jump into the video because the Jets, they made a very sneaky move as Darren Mougey picked up another guy in a position of serious need. Now, the Jets do have some glaring positions of need, and we are going to go over some of those in the next couple of days. But one of those out there, if you hear the sirens outside, it's because this is an all-time classic move that we have just seen be made by the New York Jets. And it was mentioned by ML Football, who announced that UFL standout kicker Harrison Mevis is signing a multi-year deal with the New York Jets. So already signifying it could be a guy who is going to get on the roster, and Mevis is a kicker, and he's not any kicker. He is the Thiccer Kicker. Matt, we have now added a guy who is most known for being 5'11", 6 feet tall, and quite the heavy boy, and he's not built like any other kicker in football. He's not built like many professional athletes are built. He's built like your uncle at Thanksgiving, but also the Thiccer Kicker has joined the Jets. And he also, his track record's pretty good.
Yeah, so, I mean, we were getting a little bit worried about our kicker competition between Anders Carlson and Caden Davis. We're looking at those options and going, wow, like neither one of those options seemed like it was going to be actually a winning option for the Jets for the future. For one season, in a season where we're not expecting to win the Super Bowl, who cares who the kicker is? But we want to find a kicker who can stick around long term, and Mevis could be that guy coming off a successful season in the UFL on the championship roster, so he knows what it's like to kick under pressure. And just like you said, this guy's going to be a lot of fun. If all the really good kickers are taken, so the Jets are going to have to get creative to find a kicker. And if you can't get, one of the top kickers in the league, you might as well get one of the top kickers in terms of fun. It's going to be fun to watch him kick. Definitely a lot more than what we missed, what we watched last year in Greg Zuerlein. If you were looking for Rodrigo Blankenship, a good look for him in terms of being Jets kicker. So, but he would have been a fun option. This guy will be just as much fun, just a different type of fun. Chris, I know you love picking up the fat guys at positions where it doesn't make sense or where you don't need to be fat. There are a bunch of positions in football where you need to be really heavy to make a difference. Kicker and head coach are not some of those positions, but I know the weight is definitely a selling point for a guy like you.
I believe in fat guy supremacy, and Matt, I wore a bigger shirt on myself because it makes me look fatter than I really am when I record this video right now. So we're on full fat guy supremacy mode right now. But on the topic of him of having Mevis be someone who is a talented kicker, and as you said, can kick under pressure. Look, the man was solid in college. I mean, did not miss an extra point until his senior year where he missed one. 99.3% on extra points in 4 years in Missouri as their starting kicker. On field goals, he was solid as well. First year goes 17 for 20. Next year goes 26 for 28, which led the SEC in both made and attempted field goals that year. Went 22 for 28 in 2022, not as good of a year, and then 24 for 30 in 2023 as well. Not perfect. Not as good as his first two seasons in college football, but still a solid kicker nonetheless. And again, we're not going to find someone who's never missing field goals at this point of the offseason. We both know that's not going to happen. As you said, if you can't get the best kicker, getting someone who's a fun option is always good. Now, he played for the Birmingham Stallions, where he was pretty excellent at kicking the ball. I mean, his percentages was great, 95 percentile, or 95% from kicking. He was good from 50 yards out as well. His longest kick was a 54-yarder, as long as field goal is a 54-yarder, I should say. And also, I mean, given in the playoffs, he did go 1 for 2 on attempts when it comes to kicks, but still, he's a guy who knows what he's doing under pressure and has shown that I mean, for the volume, he's definitely had good percentages, which is good to see. Also, in regards to his kickoffs and stuff, with the UFL, he had 5 touchbacks and averaged 64.6 yards per kick. Obviously, kicking has changed over the NFL in the last 2 years or so in regards to the way the kickoffs are done. You can't, it's just, you can't chase until it's caught, all that stuff. There's a bit of a difference in the way the kicking is now done. But that isn't really the biggest impact factor here. It's not like that really changed who the best kickers were in a general sense, especially in regards to kickoffs are not what we're really talking about here with an issue the Jets need to rectify more than anything. I mean, for instance, Thomas Morstead did a lot of kickoffs, but like just in regards to you need someone to make field goals. We had Greg Zuerlein. I don't know why I was rambling so much about kickoffs right there, but
yeah, what you were looking for, the term you were looking for was kickoff specialist,
yes,
which is the guy who handles the kickoffs before points or at the start of the game or the half. That would be our kickoff specialist, which is usually your team's field goal kicker, but doesn't have to be your team's field goal kicker. Like you said, we watched Thomas Morstead take over that spot a little bit last season. That position is changing a little bit with the new rules being implemented, where if you just kick it out the back of the end zone, the other team gets to start farther up on the field than it would be if they returned it or called a fair catch inside the landing zone, which is in between the goal line and the 20-yard line. If it's a kickoff, they start at 30. Fair catch, they start at the 20. So you're not looking for kickoff for touchbacks anymore. But we saw in the NFL last season, they decided the strategy was just pick the touchback anyway. The NFL is kicking around the idea of moving the line even farther forward to force kickoff returns. I think they're going to have to end up doing that if they want to actually force kickoff returns, because the percentage is still too low. So we're going to see where that goes. But until that happens, right now we're not worried about the kickoff specialist. We're worried about the field goal kicker. We're worried about finishing drives with points that otherwise wouldn't end up with points. And just like you said, we need guys who can kick under pressure, people who at the end of the game when we're down by 1 or 2 points or need to send the game to overtime, he's going to be someone who's going to be clutch enough to hit those kicks. Or if he has a really big leg, like we're hoping this guy does, going to be able to make it so you're just more Jets offensive drives can yield points where you can change your game plan farther out. So there are some teams, when you have a kicker who can kick really far, when you're at like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 from like the 35-yard line, you could be more aggressive and go for a shot because you know that your kicker is going to be able to get you those points should you have to kick from the 35-yard line, kick that deep field goal. So you can, run a play action where hopefully the defense, everyone collapses on your running back and you go for the big time bomb, which is either going to be an incomplete pass or a touchdown because you have those points in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm. I obviously last year, and we've talked about this a bunch, but Zuerlein just didn't get the job done. There was multiple times where he missed kicks. I've given him a lot of hell for missing that one against the Broncos. Obviously, it was in the rain, and it was a far kick. At the end of the day, it still sucked because when the Jets lost that game to the Broncos, they never once gained traction again. That's not fully on Greg Zuerlein. Aaron Rodgers could not get the team anywhere. And again, I understand it's the rain, but Aaron Rodgers had been in the rain for 20 years at that point and played in Wisconsin where it's, freezing. So I don't give Rodgers any credit for anything there. And Zuerlein, yes, that kick is harder and everything, but still, Greg Zuerlein missed a bunch of kicks that would have led to the Jets winning more games. There's no way around it. And the Jets need to find another option right now. Right now, there's 3 kickers now on the Jets roster. There's Anders Carlson, Anders Carlson, I should say, and Caden Davis, and now the Thiccer Kicker. So with Harrison Mevis, and
I thought you forgot his name.
No, I maybe did for 5 seconds. I knew once I said the Thiccer Kicker, I'd remember his name. Remember the name. But look, when it comes to Mevis, I think obviously it's not going to be some guaranteed money. The multi-year deal, though, it interests me. It means, at least in some degree, the Jets do have at least some belief that this might work.
I love the idea of bringing a guy who, coming out of school, was not expected to be a big-time kicker, which is why he was in the UFL, not the NFL, but winning the championship with the Birmingham Stallions, making all those kicks under pressure, putting up a high percentage, like you said, it was like 95 point something. That can show people that maybe the scouts were wrong with this guy coming out. And kickers come from nowhere all the time.
Yeah.
You watch the Dallas Cowboys, their kicker blanking on his name right now. Is it yeah, blanking on his name, but he was
I
a
want to
soccer
say Brett
player, and
Bauer, and I know that's not it.
it's not a
That
yeah.
was a while ago.
He was a soccer player, and now he's the best kicker in the NFL. So
Yeah.
these guys can come from absolutely everywhere. I don't want to discount him just because he went to the UFL. If anything, that shows that he went to the UFL and people there realized this guy is better than the UFL. He deserves to be in the NFL. I would love to see where the ceiling is for this guy because we clearly don't know where it is right now. Whereas with Anders Carlson, we know where his ceiling is, and his ceiling is a stopgap option at kicker in a tanking or rebuilding year, or a backup kicker who, when your kicker's out for like 3 or 4 weeks, he subs in for those weeks. But he's not a full-time starter on a competing football team.
Yeah, I mean, probably not, but as Brandon Aubrey got it done. So you never know. As you say, kickers do come from out of nowhere. And yeah, it's likely that that's not going to work. But look, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Jets also brought in Adrian Martinez from the UFL, right?
I was going to say that Adrian
So they're
Martinez
looking
was
there.
the MVP of the UFL. So
Exactly. So they have interest in this, and it makes me think like they clearly think they have something with the UFL that they want to work with. I love that the Jets are looking at this route because it feels like something that they're just leaving no stone unturned in a year that's kind of a transitional year from them, which, I mean, aside from Harrison Mevis, aside from Adrian Martinez, what we're seeing is the Jets really doing their due diligence, which does make me happy with the way that Darren, Mougey, and Aaron Glenn are running this team thus far. At least
it feels like it's not something that the older Jets regimes would have done. This team is looking in Germany to find more players, looking at the UFL. They're they're not just every team has NFL scouts scouting guys who are in the NFL who if maybe they could trade for a guy or sign him in free agency, and then every team has college scouts. But it seems like the NFL or the New York Jets have even more scouts than that. They got people looking overseas at overseas leagues, looking at smaller professional football leagues inside the United States. It's absolutely great to see, and I really feel like Aaron Glenn is ushering a new era of Jet football. And maybe it's not going to lead to more winning in terms of playoffs or championships, but it's definitely going to be ran better and is at least going to paint the New York Jets franchise and organization in a better light.
Absolutely, and I think that is a big part of at least starting to turn things around, if nothing else. Usually when franchises turn around, they start to clean up their image first, and then from there, things get better and better. So, I mean, right now, Anders Carlson clearly is not, as well, probably ceiling stopgap kicker. Caden Davis, it'd be pretty surprising if he became the Jets' long-term kicker. Harrison Mevis, likely not going to be the Jets' long-term kicker either. But I think we could all comfortably say, or we could both comfortably say what a good 99% of Jets fans want to, or who they want to be the kicker in week one. It's clearly Harrison Mevis. It has to be.
I mean, I would love to say I'm going to sit here and be like, oh, I want the best kicker to start. The best player needs to start at every position. But the kicker, it's the difference between the skill level of kickers is closer than the percentages will suggest, just because when you have 3 kickers, they're not going to get enough opportunities. If each guy got to kick 1,000 kicks, then it would be a lot easier to look at the percentages and pick the best one. But when these guys in the preseason, they're going to get probably maximum like 6 or 7 kicks each. The percentage just won't tell the entire story. If it's really close, I do want to see Mevis be that kicker, but just for fun purposes, we're loading up with this season. It's looking like there's going to be a lack of fun surrounding the New York Jets. So let's add some to it.
I agree 100%. And Matt, one final thing: when we go to that Steelers-Jets game, first game of the year, week 1, I hope the Jets, they kick the ball off first, and I hope Mevis kicks that so we can just watch him run down the field. Dude, imagine he just kills someone, just hits him so hard. I mean, that's also part of it. Maybe he's a better tackler because he's huge.
He's not carrying all that weight for nothing.
Facts. Guys, do you want to see Harrison Mevis, the Thiccer Kicker, become the Jets starting kicker in week 1? If not, who would you choose over Carlson or Davis instead? Let us know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Fat Boy Summer is here. Have a great day, and go Jets.